While the president-elect's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, getting a lot of attention because quietly, some would say just ruthlessly, working behind the scenes to clear the decks of non-loyalists and those who would not have his father-in-law's interest at play. Real Clear Politics national reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns, Daily Caller editor-in-chief Vince Coglianese. All right, so Vince, you're watching this, and you're watching the quiet role of the son-in-law who we're told was first and foremost the one who jettisoned Chris Christie and all of his lieutenants on the transition team. Do you, first of all, buy that?
I do. I think Jared Kushner and Chris Christie have had a rocky relationship. They have a long history, and they sort of tolerated each other throughout the campaign basically at the request of Donald Trump. But now that that's over, I think that there was a combination of things that had happened. Donald Trump goes to the White House, meets with the president. All of a sudden, the Trump transition team becomes very aware that the task of actually taking over a government is much bigger than it seems they even predicted. And then Donald Trump quickly, with Jared Kushner's pressure, gets rid of the Christie element and focuses on having Mike Pence take over this whole transition process because he needs somebody to sort of take the helm who has a lot of experience running something like this. And Pence is the guy now.
You know, Caitlin, wanted just to give people the backstory on this. Jared Kushner's father, you know, was pursued legally by then attorney Chris Christie. Spent about 18 months in prison for tax evasion, among some other things. So I'm sure that can't be forgotten. Whether it played a role here, we'll never know. But we do know that Christie is largely out of this administration to be. Is that safe to say?
I think so. Well, listen, you know, Donald Trump ran a campaign against scandal, against a Clinton, potentially a Clinton administration that he thought would have been plagued by some scandalous things as well, talking a lot about the foundation, of course, the emails and all of that. And so to bring someone like Chris Christie, who has that cloud, the Bridgegate cloud, still looming over him, I think would be very controversial for this administration that wants to start out with a clean slate. Jared Kushner, as we know, had been very involved in the campaign, is very close and seen as a top advisor to his father-in-law, to the president-elect. And whether he plays a formal role in this administration or not, we can expect that he will continue to be one of the few people that really has Donald Trump's ear as he prepares to take the Oval Office.
There's something very different, though, about Christie in that it seems like the Trump campaign throughout the entire campaign weathered scandal. They always had scandals sort of knocking at their door, whether it was with the candidate himself or, for instance, Corey Lewandowski. And yet they continued to persist most of the time as if nothing was going on. So something is unique about Chris Christie here that I don't think has been fully exposed to the public. And Jared Kushner seems like just as likely a suspect in that, in how this is developed.
Caitlin, another thing I heard about, obviously the Trump folks do not want any lobbyists, former, present, potentially future ones, anywhere near their team, and that we're told that a lot of the Christie folks were just that, lobbyists. Not all of them, but that was one of the compelling reasons. But you almost, in this town, in your town, can't avoid lobbyists, can you?
No, and remember in that 60 Minutes interview that Donald Trump said that, you know, everybody in Washington is related to lobbying in some way, so to speak, to paraphrase him. He campaigned, as we know, in favor of draining the swamp, and some of his initial picks and initial advisors and people surrounding him, the fact that they were lobbyists or connected to lobbyists was controversial. And so I think this is a good step for the president-elect's team to take to ban lobbyists from the campaign. They also talked today on a conference call of banning lobbyists with connections to foreign governments. As we know, that was something controversial dealing with Paul Manafort.
All right, we'll watch very, very closely because that might involve the whole Trump business empire there. Then it could get a little sticky. But guys, thank you both very, very much.